Hi. I'm Quintan Ana Wikswo. My project is Mercy Killing Action, and if we want to start the film. My project, Mercy Killing Action, questions how governments police the bodies, minds, and psyches of people deemed undesirable. Governments teach us that some lives are worth more than others. My project inhabits specific times and places where this lesson is violently taught and then hushed up. I work at clandestine sites where government institutions commit biosocial human rights atrocities to intimidate, silence, and segregate the other into a place of invisibility and fear. The project uses salvaged government cameras and typewriters manufactured through forced institutional labor to explore these sites using visual art, literature, film, and performance. It disrupts the secrecy surrounding the programs the state uses to control those of us deemed less than human and asks one primary question: who controls who we get to be and how? These are sites where I've been working for the last 8 months. They're less exotic than you think. They're hidden in plain sight. The clinical wing at NYU Hospital, where people of queer motivation have been forcibly electroshocked. The Arizona grocery store, where sex-trafficked toddlers are bought and sold. The South Carolina Spring House, where whites tortured Africans. The clinic where Navajo women received forced hysterectomies. The California Redwood Grove, where state senators incite lynch mobs. A cabinet in a Vienna museum where the femurs of murdered schizophrenics are sorted by length and width. It's easy to hide a site of atrocity. Just remove the evidence and don't let anyone talk about what happened there. I identify sites through people who have survived these crimes or know about them. They tell me where to look. I began an extensive fieldwork process. I inhabit the site physically. I sit, I walk, if possible, I sleep at the sites. I look deeply at the ecology, the architecture, the absences, the presences. I absorb the sites across all my senses. I listen for its bird calls, footsteps echoing in its halls, violets in the nitrogen of the rape brothel latrine, Spanish moss that makes the sunlight bruised and green. At sites, I am conspicuous, an outsider with a stranger's appearance, strange cameras, peculiar typewriters. Simply by being conspicuous at a place of secrets, we can make the invisible visible. I was lying on my stomach, photographing thistles at an unmarked execution site in a large field. A man walked up and said, "I wonder why, with all the thistles in France, you have chosen to photograph this one." I photographed sunset over an asylum when the Virginia State Police brought me in for questioning, asking, "How did you know about the mass grave?" Invariably, someone who knows something sees me, comes over to investigate, and shares stories, secrets, rumors. Neighbors who saw or heard something, children who received deathbed confessions from their grandparents, or someone who knows nothing becomes curious to learn what happened. At these sites, I work with salvaged government and military equipment. I collect cameras manufactured by fascist or totalitarian dictatorships, typically using slave labor. Machines designed to document a society cleansed of the different, the imperfect, the outcast, the misfit. This camera was used by Franco's soldiers in Spain. These cameras were built by Dutch lesbians in death camps. They were built by people forced to create the equipment that would document their own destruction. I create my films and photographs on site using only the unique aberrations of the camera's damaged optics and film chemistry. Light leaks, 100-year-old battlefield dirt, scratches, the flowers I place between the film and the lens. All these artifacts become part of the work. There's no software or computer manipulation in the images. Instead of perfect, ideal cameras, I celebrate scars and imperfections, damage and fracture. I write on site using salvaged government typewriters. This is a typewriter created for the Stasi. It's very slim, so it can be easily hidden. I began using typewriters to write my poetry at sites because there was no electricity, but the loud sound and anachronistic appearance attracts bystanders. The opportunity to type and not to edit reminds us of history and what has been erased from it. The force with which our fingers must strike the keys and make a mark. Deep memory and emotion emerges. We enter a different language, a poet's vocabulary of memory, dreams, and nightmares. My performances are kaleidoscopic perspectives surrounding specific sites of trauma. They integrate my film projections, texts, and photographs with music, sound, and movement. They engage as many as 40 collaborators drawn from around each site, each of whom brings a personal history and trajectory that informs and expands the project. Last week at twilight, my team and I were working in the garden of what was once a torture facility and mass grave site. We looked down to see our bodies crawling with snails. Like us, the snails inhabited the blood and soil of this place. When we work at these clandestine sites, our bodies and minds stand alongside the ones that have been violently destroyed and erased. Together, we all become embodied and re-embodied. We take a place, we replace. There are times and places in our society in which many of us are forbidden to exist. These are the places my project works to claim and reclaim, to inhabit and re-inhabit with our inconvenient, intrusive, but important selves, our dangerous bodies, voices, and visions. Like the snails, we propel ourselves through our own destruction and into the visibility of being. Thank you.